Let's look at the first passage. I'll summarize the passage first and then we'll look at the questions. This passage is based on a book by Pema Chodron. The book is all about fear. Okay, let's quickly read the passage and then we'll summarize it. In every life, there comes a time when we are raised to the bone of our resilience by losses beyond our control. Lacerations of the heart that feel barely bearable, that leave us bereft of solid ground. What then? So, in life, you come across problems. You feel like you're totally left without any hope. What do you do then? What then? In art, Kafka assured his teenage walking companion, one must throw one's life away in order to gain it. In art, you throw your life away to get back a life. As in art, so in life. The same principle applies in life also. So suggests the American Tibetan Buddhist nun and teacher Pema Chodron in When Things Fall Apart. So this passage is about the book, what she has written in the book. The book, When Things Fall Apart, Heart Advice for Difficult Times. The book is advice to people who are going through difficult times. What should you do when things fall apart, when things are not going your way? She draws on her own confrontation with personal crisis and on the ancient teachings of Tibetan Buddhism to offer gentle and incisive guidance to the enormity we stand to gain during those times when all seems to be lost. Through her personal experience and through Buddhist teachings, whatever lesson she has learned on what you can gain in those times when you feel you have lost everything. That is what she talks about. Half a century after Albert Camus asserted that there is no love of life without despair of life. You can't have love of life unless you have despair. You've lost all hope of life. This was expressed by Camus. Chodron reframes these moments of acute despair as opportunities for befriending life by befriending ourselves in the deepest sense. These moments of despair, that is the time when you become friends with yourself, befriend yourself. This is an opportunity. When you face moments of despair, that is the opportunity with you to become friends with yourself in the deepest sense. Writing in that Buddhist way of wrapping in simple language the difficult and beautiful truths of existence, she examines the most elemental human response to the uncharted territory that comes with loss or any other species of unforeseen change. She uses the Buddhist style of writing, which is a simple way of expressing profound truths. So she uses simple language to express the difficult and beautiful truths of existence. And she tells you what is the most elemental, fundamental human response to any kind of unforeseen change. Fear is a universal experience. Even the smallest insects feel it. We wade in the tidal pools and put our finger near the soft, open bodies of sea anemones and they close up. Everything spontaneously does that. It's not a terrible thing that we feel fear when faced with the unknown. It is part of being alive, something we all share. We react against the possibility of loneliness, of death, of not having anything to hold on to. Fear is a natural reaction to moving closer to the truth. The most elemental, most fundamental instinct of any living organism is fear. And she says fear is a natural reaction and it's a natural reaction to moving towards the truth. If we commit ourselves to staying right where we are, then our experience becomes very vivid. Things become very clear when there is nowhere to escape. So what does she say? She says, commit yourself to staying where you are. Don't try to run away from fear. Commit yourself. Stay where you are. Then your experience becomes very clear, very vivid. When things become very clear, then there is nowhere to escape or you won't even try to escape. This clarity, Chaudhry argues, is a matter of becoming intimate with fear rather than treating it as a problem to be solved. So this clarity that you get comes with become very intimate, familiar with fear, rather than treating fear as a problem that has to be solved. Using fear as a tool with which to dismantle all our familiar structures of being, a complete undoing of old ways of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and thinking. Use fear as a tool. A tool to do what? Undo everything you know, undo all your familiar structures of being and deal with it. Noting that bravery is not the absence of fear, but the intimacy of fear. What is bravery? Bravery is not being afraid. Bravery is not the absence of fear. According to the author, bravery is the intimacy with fear. And what does she write further? When we really begin to do this, we're going to be continually humble. When you start becoming intimate with truth and you start getting closer to fear, rather intimate with fear, then you are continually humbled. There's not going to be much room for arrogance on the ideals we can bring. Arrogance that inevitably does arise is going to be continually shot down by our own courage to step forward a little further. So when you get intimate with fear, when you get familiar with fear, you keep pushing down that arrogance and then you move a step forward to becoming intimate with fear, to dealing with fear. The kinds of discoveries that are made through practice have nothing to do with believing in anything. They have much more to do with having the courage to die continually. So every time you face fear, you are intimate with fear, you die. And having the courage to die continually, that is what it means. In essence, now summing up the thoughts, this is the hard work of befriending ourselves. This is what comes. This involves, this process is what is involved when you want to become friends with yourself, which is our only mechanism for befriending life in its completeness. You want to become a friend of life in all its completeness, then you have to learn to become friends with yourself, know yourself. Out of that, she argues, arises our deepest strength. When you become friends with yourself, when you know yourself, that will be the source of your greatest strength. How does the passage end? Only to the extent that we expose ourselves over and over to annihilation can that which is indestructible be found in us. When you do that continuously, risk yourself to annihilation, destruction, then you will find your strength. All right, that was the passage. So passage is based on a book, When Things Fall About, by Chima Chaudhry, who tells you that fear is the most fundamental of feelings that a human being or any living thing has. One should learn to become intimate with fear, to befriend yourself in times of crisis. You have to befriend yourself. You have to learn to become intimate with fear. That is what is bravery, not the absence of fear, but familiarity with fear. If you do that, your arrogance will be shot down. You will expose yourself more and more to fear, and in that process, you will find your greatest strength. This is what the passage is about. Which of the following best captures the flow of the passage? Whenever you get a question on the flow of a passage, that means the key points that have been part of the thought flow of the passage. All right. Now, when we go back to the passage in the process, whenever you see a question on the thought flow, you quickly go back to the passage and summarize each of the paragraphs. First paragraph was when you face problems in life. The first one is when you are faced with, when your resilience is broken down to zero, what do you do? That's the first paragraph. Second paragraph, author quotes Kafka, quotes Camus, and where he says that you must throw away your life in order to gain it. There is no life without despair. So despair, risk is part of life. And the last sentence is actually the key, that moments of acute despair are opportunities for befriending life and befriending you befriend yourself, you know yourself in the deepest sense. And how do you do that? During moments of crisis. So the second paragraph talks of how moments of crisis help you befriend yourself and befriend life. That's the key point of the second paragraph. Third paragraph, she wrote using simple language the truths of existence and deals with fear. So third and fourth paragraph is about fear. What is fear? Natural reaction to moving closer to the truth. That's the next point. Second, you stay where you are. You face the fear, become intimate with fear. That's your only way to, then your experience becomes very clear, right? Then, so the next paragraph is becoming intimate with fear, staying where you are. Bravery is not the absence of fear, but the intimacy with fear. All right. Then last one is that through practice, by staying put where you are, through practicing this constant process of getting intimate with fear, do you really know your own strength, right? Those are some of the main points. Let's look at which option best reflects these main points. Now, the correct option will have most of these. The wrong option will either miss out an important key element, or will mention a word which has been mentioned in the passage but is not a key point. All right. Acute despair as an opportunity, ancient teachings of Buddhism, the enormity we stand to gain, being alive, and the absence of fear. Now here, I'm not even looking at the order. The author doesn't talk of the absence of fear. The author talks about being intimate with fear. So that one word makes this option wrong for me. I don't even have to look at the other expressions. Resilience in crisis, yes. Confronting a personal crisis, yes. Using fear as a tool to break all your familiar structures of being. Bravery and familiar structures of being. Universal resilience in crisis, author talks about this part makes you doubtful. He doesn't say, he says when your resilience is grounded to zero, what do you do? So it's not about resilience in crisis is not a main point. Confronting a personal crisis, he didn't say. Using fear as a tool, bravery, breaking down familiar structures of being, he says. He doesn't say familiar structures of being, breaking it down. So this kind of distorts the key elements and adds resilience in crisis, which is not a main point. Universal fear, yes, all of us have it. Coping with loss, using fear as a tool, befriending ourselves. By befriending ourselves and exposing ourselves, we will find our deepest strength. Looks closest to the flow that we had, but let's look at the befriending life. This comes right at the beginning, that has to come at the end. Elemental human response has to come before that. Experiencing vividness, no. You see your experiences vividly is not the same as experiencing clarity or vividness. You can feel an experience and reflect on it with more clarity is not the same as experiencing vividness, right? That's playing with words. Therefore, my correct answer is C. Okay. Each of the other options had one wrong word, by which I just eliminated them. Which of the following sentences from the passage best resonates with Kafka's quote, "In art, one must throw one's life away in order to gain it"? Now, this is actually a direct question based on, it's a vocabulary based question. When you get a quote from the passage, read the quote 2-3 times, rephrase it in your own words. In art, one must throw one's life away to gain it. In the field of art, what should you do to really live, to gain life? Throw your life away. Risk something to gain something, right? So Kafka's quote is about losing something, risking something really precious to gain something even more precious. Something like that. We'll look at an option which involves that. So, and the passage says, as in art, so in life, one must do it. Bravery is not the absence of fear, but intimacy with fear. This is a statement. There is no. So, Kafka's statement is about in art, as in life. Later in the passage, author says same thing applies in life. One must lose something, give up your life, give up the present life so that you can gain a proper life. Risk something to get something. Option A is just describing what is bravery in the author's point of view. There is no give something away, give up something, risk something to gain something. So this clearly is not my answer. Only to the extent that we expose ourselves over and over to annihilation can that which is indestructible be found with us. You expose yourself. You make yourself vulnerable to destruction. Only then can you find your greatest strength. Can you find that which cannot be destroyed. Only when you open yourself to destruction can you find what is it in me that cannot be destroyed. So you are risking by exposing your vulnerability. And what are you gaining? You are gaining knowledge of what is indestructible in you. You know, you become aware of your strength, of what is indestructible in you. So perfectly resonates Kafka's saying. But let's look at options C and D. There is no love of life without despair of life. This is close, but it's just a statement on life, and it's more about focuses on despair, right? Though in the passage, this was said immediately after Kafka, in the same passage, but B is a better way of risking something to gain something. See, he says, you can't have love in life without despair. So the focus is more about despair. Here the focus is lose this so that you gain something more. You get it? Give something to get something. Risk something to get something. C does not have that aspect. It says one cannot exist without the other. You understand? Therefore, B is my correct answer. B is the correct answer. Which of the following best gives the meaning of the sentence? If we commit ourselves to staying right where we are, then our experience becomes very vivid. We have dealt with this in detail in the summary, but again, it's a quote from the passage. So what do you do when there's a quote from the passage? Read it, simplify it in your own words, try to find out what do I understand from this. If you commit yourself to staying where you are, stick, determined and resolute. I'm not going to run away. I'm going to face my problems. I'm going to stay put. If you commit yourself to staying where you are instead of running away, then whatever you are experiencing, there is this experience in front of you. You can confront it by staying where you are. You can face it. You can deal with it, or you can run away. If you decide to stay where you are and deal with it, then our experience becomes very vivid, becomes very clear to you. When you stand and look at your problem, decide to deal with it, then that experience becomes very vivid, very clear. This is what it involves. Is my explanation good enough? Did you simplify it in the same words? Let's look at an option which explains this statement almost like we explained it to ourselves. Fear and discomfort are necessary for a vivid and intense experience of life. Author talks about staying put. Option is talking about fear and discomfort. Stay where you are. Don't run away. That's what the statement says. Option says fear, discomfort. No, clearly not my answer. The unknown can be terrifying. Yes. But staying put, staying where you are, staying put in other words is staying where you are, will provide clarity and understanding. Clarity and understanding of what? Of the experience of the unknown that you're about to face, of what you have to do, right? So this looks like a good answer. Clarity and understanding is a synonym. Clarity is a synonym of vivid, provides vividness, becomes very vivid. So this looks like a good answer. Remaining stagnant is a way to gain clarity and understanding in life. Now, stay where you are, stay stagnant. Is there a difference or not? What is stagnant? Stagnant has a negative connotation. You have water which is not moving and mosquitoes breed in, you say stagnant water. What are you doing? I didn't get a promotion. I'm stagnant in this position. Stagnant has a negative connotation. It doesn't mean staying where you are in terms of not running away. Stagnant means being forced to stay in a place and you're not unable to move forward. Not able to move forward. So therefore, the option, in the passage, the author gives it as a solution. Says, don't run away from fear. Don't run away from unknown situations. Even if you have the fear of the unknown situation, stay where you are so you get clarity of the situation. So here, the staying where you are is given as a positive step, as a solution to the problem. Here he says remaining stagnant, your inability to grow or to move, right? Therefore, that negative connotation goes against the tone of the passage. Not my answer. Being present in the face of fear, all right, can lead us to a profound awareness of life's complexities and richness. Don't you think this is way out from what the author has said? You face an unforeseen situation. The first reaction is fear. How do you deal with it? Stay where you are so you get clarity of the situation. Your experience becomes vivid and it's clear to you instead of running away. That's what is mentioned in the passage. Here he says, if you can be present in the face of fear, you will experience the richness of life, complexities and richness. Alien expression not given in the passage, not even implied by the author, therefore not the answer. So the correct answer is B. Right? I hope you got that right. Which of the following is true as per the passage? That means 3 options will be wrong, 1 will be correct. Let's find out. Buddhism captures difficult truths in simplistic language. The passage has said, in the passage it mentions that Pema, the author of the book, explains in simple language profound truths, just following the style of Buddhism. What does the option say? Buddhism captures difficult truths in simplistic language. There's a difference between simple and simplistic. I'll give you a simple solution to your problem. It's not complex, it's easy to follow. If I give you a simplistic solution to the problem, I am giving you a solution which ignores all the important parts of the problem. It just seems like a problem. It seems like a solution. So a simplistic solution, simplistic language, simple and simplistic do not mean the same thing. Simplistic means making something look similar by removing or ignoring the important parts of it. That is not what the author meant. Simple language is different from simplistic language. Simple solution is different from a simplistic solution. A simple solution is not complex. A simplistic solution is not a solution. It's not the right solution because it ignores all the main points of the problem. Clear? So A is wrong because of the use of the wrong word simplistic. As per Pema Chodron, we should have the courage to die. Do you think she meant literally dying? How can you die continually? Every time you face fear, you become intimate with fear, you are exposing yourself to situations where you die continually. You mean to say she means literally die and come alive the next moment? No. So the talking of continually dying, or that the word dying has been used by her in a figurative way. It does not mean literally dying, right? Therefore, she is not talking about having the courage to die literally. She is talking about the courage to become familiar with fear. It's almost like dying, but it's not literally dying. Here, the option is using the literal meaning of the term. Therefore, it's wrong. The goal of Buddhist practice is to believe in specific ideals and principles to achieve enlightenment. Has the passage talked about the goal of Buddhist practice? Has it talked about ideals and principles and enlightenment? C is irrelevant, totally out of scope of the passage. That leaves us with only option D, but let's read it. One should engage in the practice of becoming intimate with facing one's fear. That's what the author means by familiarity with fear. You should start knowing your fears. You should start facing them. That is it. So D is the correct answer.